out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Fuck out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. I'm rolling with the LGBT.
I'm rolling with the LGBT. Hello and welcome back. Yeah. To yet another episode of Village Idiot Astrology. I love my job. I now have 35 subscribers. I cannot actually fucking believe it. Thank you all so much for following me. It's actually amazing. I'm screaming in the streets and suddenly I look behind me and there's a crowd. And I'm always surprised when I and I'm an audience. I am so honored to be joined now by people actually commenting on my stuff and whatnot. It's actually so amazing. Thank you all so much for your traction and for what. And I just want to remind everyone that I'm still learning. While I have been doing now astrology since I was 13 years old, and I am a long way from 13. I am still, however, learning. I don't know everything. I also want to make it really clear. This is something I've never really gone over before on my channel, but for these two, I really think that this would be an opportune moment to say, before I get into this, some housekeeping for astrology. Sometimes the astrologer is kind of burdened with the task that I come upon information maybe a little before I'm supposed to, if that makes sense. Like, there are things in the two of these charts that I looked at that have not happened yet, and there are things that I don't feel comfortable like going over. So with that in mind, today I thought I really want to underline that I'm going to be doing Connor, Storrie, and Hudson Williams, but I'm going to be very specific, to be very, very, very respectful for a number of reasons. One, we really don't know these people, and this is their job. I really want to make that clear. This is their job that we're looking at right now. Why did the two of them work so well? If you don't know these two have now blasted into international fame.
Backshot, you know, the horny little
This is what this is doing to people.
Hi, I'm Hudson Williams, and I play Shane Hollander in Heated Rivalry.
And I was waiting for mine. And my name is Connor Storrie, and I play Ilya Rozanov.
From the overnight sensation TV show Fujoshi Yaoi romance moment called Heated Rivalry on HBO, where these two play hockey players that are on opposing teams that end up basically falling for each other. And it's in the early aughts, which I was alive for. So these men written by women are giving back to the people. We've wanted romance, real authentic romance, for so long, and this is the closest thing we're gonna get, especially because it's gay. I'm like, you know what? She can stay. Diva can stay. So why did these two work so specifically well? I want to look together now today at their charts about why this combination. You got to admit, the electricity is the two of them. The two of them I've watched the show now, because before I was like, what are you all talking about? Everyone and their mother was talking about this show. So finally I sat down yesterday and watched it, and I get it. Diva. Now I understand. And now I also want to say, part of the reason I feel okay to talk about this is because, to be honest with you, between you, me, and the floorboards viewer, I'm also a professional actor. That's why I'm dressed like this. Because if you saw me on the streets, no, you didn't. No, you did not. Shh, keep quiet. No, you didn't. Do you understand? I have also a profile to keep cute. So for that reason, I'm going to be the same level of respectful for these two, because, again, there's information in these charts that, with all due respect, you and I have no right to that kind of information. It's almost too much. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? You have to be really careful about who you give information about your birth chart to, viewer, because, to be honest with you, there are things that I could just ascertain just from you telling me. Like, if you were to tell me you're a stellium Capricorn, I said, girl, shh, keep that to yourself. So for this one today, I figured let's just go ahead and be respectful and look at their jobs and about why these two work so well. So without further ado, I know you're chomping at the bit. I know you are. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go for it. Shall we go for it? Okay. Now, I toyed with the idea of doing individual natal charts, but I thought to myself, why torture it? These two are professional actors, that's the point, and they came from near obscurity, I know how that feels, to end up in a high-profile piece just because they ended up being selected with each other. They were right place, right time, right fit. Everything fell into the right situation. So I figured, you know what? These two catapulted each other into fame, so I think we would find out more from their combined synastry charts than from individual charts. So let's get started. Right off the bat, we know that the inside, hello? My Apple Pencil! SpongeBob reference. Here we go. So you know it's time. Is this actor, Hudson. And the outside is Connor. I have to call them by their real names. And we do not have Connor's birth time, so we just have to go by what we see. Now, automatically, first thought, I'm seeing Hudson has a north node in the 11th house, which is about going to greater fame. So we already have an indicator off the chart, just from looking at his chart alone, that he was going to spring into further fame with that Rahu in the 11th house, which searches for fame, undeniably. And let's look at the north node amount, 13, so Aries, so his personal self in Cancer, ironically. So also could end up being something of like could continue to play parents or these female womanly roles, or could end up being an equal parent himself, something that affects is like a feminine quality, nurturing quality. Now, another thing that obviously jumps right out at me just before I even look at the colors and everything in here is this very stinky, very obvious, almost exact conjunction between Venus and Mars. Now, in Aries of the self, in Hudson's ninth house of gurus, higher learned people, intelligent people, mentors. So a Venus in that category would mean that not only would his personal partner be someone who's a bit of a guru, who could stand alone, but also in this case, because of this exact conjunction, we are literally seeing that bottom and top dynamic play out in their charts. Ironically, because we see this is Hudson's Venus is directly on top of Connor's Mars, making Connor.
As the rest of the show, I gained like 9 pounds of clappable material. So later on, you know, there's more meat for Ilya to rock, and he does. And I'm proud to be double cheeked up on whatever day of the week that was, and prone and boned.
Making Connor the phallic symbol, the male, and making Hudson the female. Their relationship. I think that when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, shut up. And all of that in a perfect sextile. You see it, you see her, to these workhouse placements. Yes, 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 yes. The sixth house of work. Yes. And you see all these placements. All of these placements are being activated by these placements. Isn't that insane? These perfect sextile in the house of work for Hudson of Neptune and Lilith, Diva with Venus, and other Neptune and Ketu, Lord Jesus. So, first of all, Lilith with Neptune. Lilith with Neptune is boundaryless in a lot of ways, because Lilith is a sex icon, is the divorced woman, is the scorned wife, the one who broke away from Adam in the original Jewish mythology fairy tale. Before Adam and Eve, there was Adam and Steve. No, I'm kidding. Before Adam and Eve, there was Adam and Lilith. And then Lilith said, nah, I'm not going to subjugate myself to a man, and broke away. And with Neptune here, you get that love feeling, and Venus. And meanwhile, you have Connor's Venus, so he adds an easing quality. And with Neptune right there, it's obsession, boundaryless. It's like when they met, it gives like Hudson gasp. He was like,
First impression of me.
Sriracha mayo, kimchi.
Why are these all food related?
That you just gave me.
I just made.
Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear.
oh no,
he's hot!
The showrunner for Heated Rivalry said this, ready? After the audition, Hudson told him, the other guy was good, but Connor felt like he was going to pin me down and fuck me. Now, this is my impression of the girlfriend reading that. It's crazy, because the chemistry, you know, we go out a lot. No one's coming up to us and being like, I thought you guys were going to fuck each other here. You know what I mean? Like,
and in the house of work too, like, this is someone you met at work. That's Connor. Connor became a Venusian Neptunian. And remember, you got to remember, Neptune also rules arts, also rules cameras. And you're seeing all of these placements in the sixth house. So he's putting cameras and love of the cameras on these sixth house work placements of Hudson's. Remember, this is Connor, this is Hudson. So Connor quite literally is a magical boon to Hudson to create more of an easing quality in all of these aspects. Like, oh, the camera loves both of you. Like when you're together, it's electric. And that Lilith quality is that little bit of, ooh, it's a little bit of, that little bit of, goes with Venus there. It's like very sexual, touchy, but also Lilith can feel calmed by these placements. I don't think Lilith is overwhelmed by Neptune and Venus here. I feel like that's like excellent blunt rotation, fabulous blunt rotation of spirits that would hang out.
I like the animal thing when you're like acting to use a bit of animal stuff, and then like in episode 2, the bathroom, I want it to be a little bit like a hungry coyote. I wanted Jane to be a little bit of like a coyote.
That was coyote,
like
when you had tears in your eyes.
Yeah, it was a hungry little like scrappy coyote that just wanted to hump, and he was in heat and just wanted to, you know, whimper away.
But humping in heat is you with tears in your eyes.
I wanted Jane to be a little coyote, you know, a little horny little mutt. Oh, Shane is the
You're the Omega, 100%.
Yeah, because I'm crawling while there's man up inside his guts.
Because they're all about love and art and self-expression and individuality, non-conformity. And Connor would bring out all of those qualities in Hudson. Does that make sense? He would make him more able to explore those Lilith qualities. He would make him feel more emboldened to say whatever you want, feel how you want. Like, and I also want to take this moment. I forgot to give this also in the housekeeping. I also want to take this moment and say, in this reading, I am absolutely under no circumstances going to be guessing or guesstimating about their individual sexualities. Not only do I not think it matters, I also think oftentimes when astrologers do shit like that, it feels incredibly like by erasure to me, because I'm just kind of like, as a person who is quite literally non-binary myself, I identify, even though I don't care about the pronoun game personally, and as someone who is also bisexual, I am always confused by the aspect of other people. Are they gay? Are they gay? Are you gay? Diva, what if they were bi? Diva, maybe both. Who cares? Diva, why? It's not your business. You know what I mean? Are they doing their job or not? Are you going to meet these people and fuck these people? I didn't think so. Besides, another thing that always takes me out. People see actors like this do these roles and they think, oh, you must be gay. Girl, diva, I want to tell you something. There is no place on this earth that I have been hit on more than at the gay club, diva. Do you understand? There are bisexuals at the gay club too, diva. Yes. Hey, they're gay. They could never like, maybe not you. I hate the guesstimation around it, because God forbid these people do their jobs. Because I used to have to deal with the same issue as an actor. I've played roles where I have had to be with and visibly, publicly be with both genders, all genders. And I have been on stage and in film now personally with every gender. And I hate the assumption that it's like goes one way or the other. That's how you need to do it. These are empathetic, artistic individuals. And notice how that's with South Node too. So Connor was born that way. Connor was always that way. And when Hudson meets him in this case, it gives him permission to be that way as well.
Hey everybody on YouTube. Hey, this is me, Connor's story.
They make each other stars because they allow nonconformity. They encourage nonconformity. They appreciate nonconformity in each other in the 7th house of partnerships. His sun is in the 7th house. Hudson's sun in the 7th house it means that he is all about, and look, they got sun conjunction. These two are way more spiritual twins than anything else. You might not, watcher, as a viewer, you might not look at these two and think about the fact that in reality they are very similar. But if you look at these placements, you'll see how much of them is a spiritual conjoined match.
He's like unabashed, he's bold, he's funny, yeah, all that. Yeah, crazy. I get to just look at him the entire time. Zoom over there, let's watch him. I'm like, that's it. That man is crazy.
Oh my God. A sense of fun and play.
Whether it is that like sun placement, like Uranus placement with Mercury, so they'd be talking about it constantly, all the 7th house of Libra, which is about partnerships, equality, egalitarianism, nonconformity, and love. Venus was like Jesus. Venus loves the LGBTQ. Venus loves the people outside of the realm. Venus loves the disabled. Venus loves the nonconformists. Venus has love and capacity, especially with all these Neptune elements, because it's boundaryless love. I have love. That's very Jesus-like to me. The Venus Neptune is Jesus-like because it's also love for the drug addicts, love for the hurt, love for the poor, love for the sick, love, and sometimes also can lead to confusing boundaries though. So that's something about Connor that he needs to be aware of this. Ketu with boundaryless love is a little bit like slinging it a lot. So, and they can encourage that in each other, like exacting placement. I will say this now, for work, this would be fabulous placements because they would be able to speak so plainly to each other about how they feel and about what's bothering them, what's going on in their lives. They will show each other memes. It's giving, yo, look at this Twitter. Like these two are giving spiritual twins. Like,
I think of everything through sex now.
And love.
Nope, not for me. Just sex.
Where's the love? Where's the love making? Why is it about butts getting destroyed and holes getting ruined? What about the caresses? Am I right, guys?
What about this back getting broken? What about some kitchen? Let's just bring some props in.
It's almost closer than a relationship partner because there's a likeness, there's a twin symbiosis here that is hard to ignore in these placements. Now, some other ones that I wanted to point out, some things that pointed out why this worked. We have here Pluto with Chiron and Lilith in the 5th house of partnerships and short-term engagements and fun. Pluto in Sag, exploration through a short-term engagement. upheavaled them, and changed their lives forever. And look how the placements, and again, I want to point this out. Yes, these natal placements by themselves tell a story. Yes. But often when you put the two charts together, you can see how much you are very much having. I like to see, I was a math major, so I like to make, I know you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. I'm going to make a math reference. A plus B equals C. Don't die. Don't die. You'll be fine. With one chart, we tend to have A, and then we're guessing at C, right? But in reality, when you have the B, in this case, like you do, it can very much tell you how it became C. Does that make sense? How Pluto here, because they're on top of each other and in such close conjunction, and with Chiron and with Lilith in the house of short-term engagements, very, very energetically close to this Mars placement, giving very much how a hookup or a wound between the two of them ended up blowing them into the spotlight. Like, for example, playing these wounded figures, these sports figures, Mars, a sports figure, a wounded sports figure. Okay, a wounded sports figure tied in a great blue sextile to all of these arts and work placements. Thank you. And they're tied giantly, oh my God, to these. Okay, and they both have here Saturn, oh my God, Saturn, Jupiter. So Saturn Jupiter is tough. That's a rough placement. I can see why it took them this long for both of them to get big. Because even though this is in the 10th house, great, fabulous place to have Saturn and Jupiter. Great place to have Saturn and Jupiter in the house of work and the higher realms of work. Also with part of fortune, which also is like Jupiter. So it's basically like Jupiter in the house of work with Saturn, which means longevity, but also can mean public disgrace. I'm a little concerned about what could happen in the future regarding these placements, because you got to remember this is not just for this job, which is part of the reason why I kind of have moments where I'm like, ooh, I want to just look, if I can, about this job, because there are some things in these charts, if I'm being honest with you, that I came across that I was like, oh, that's too much information, Diva. I don't feel comfortable going over that personally. So, like, for example, like telling you about how their lives as actors are going to play out, or about what I will say. One thing that I thought was interesting, like, there were placements that would have also pointed out what they studied while they were in art school too. Like, for example, Hudson over here had like Phaedra on the ascendant, which I thought was so fascinating, because back when I was in acting school, we also had to study the Greek classics like Phaedra and whatnot. And Phaedra is the same story that involves Hippolyta and Theseus. So if he played any one of those roles, like Theseus, Hippolyta, Phaedra, Hippolytus, then it would have shown up here on the Senate, which I think is so fascinating, because I really would love to pick his brain and know that if he had to do that in art school. That was just like a sidebar about, like, there are themes here. Like, there were other asteroids and whatnot that I was like, So again, here we see, I wanted to point out now in this case how Jupiter, Saturn can create many boundaries. Now, Jupiter, guru in Vedic astrology, Zeus in modern astrology, they are the great benefics, yes. However, they also are the great expanders. Okay, we got to remember, Zeus was a cheater. Guru will give you multiple of things that it's near. Now, with Saturn there, that's boundaries and lessons. Jupiter, Saturn, many boundaries and lessons. And especially, but can also point out, in the Saturn return, things going really, really well. You blowing up beyond belief in the Saturn return. And I want to look and see. And they have Saturn a little later. So I think that because they're so young, I thought the other thing was like so crazy, is they're like young as hell, which is why I'm like, oh, I don't want to do more, because they're too young for a lot of these to have matured. A lot of these placements have matured. So I'm just not touching certain things. Like, for example, I think they're going to blow up during their Saturn returns in a way they could have never expected. But I also think more money, more problems, because Jupiter or Saturn, while it can give blessings, it's like, okay, ready? I call that placement the sugar daddy placement. Okay, it really is the sugar daddy placement, because it's like, okay, you can have a little, like, you go to sugar daddy when you know you need $100, so you get the $100. The sugar daddy will give you the $100 that you need, but what you got to do for sugar daddy, that's your business. You know what I mean? Sugar mommy placement, and very much should be sugar mommy, actually, because Saturn is considered to be potentially feminine. But even though Zeus is there, so it's like feminine, masculine together, ironic placements. So they both have this feminine, masculine together, that because also Jupiter is traditionally the husband in females' charts. So Saturn with it, I imagine they are, first of all, I imagine they are both low-key drawn to older men. Second of all, if they were drawn to older figures, it would be like that, especially in Taurus. So hot older figures, like nurturing older figures. Yeah. But also creates like many boundaries, or can create a feminine husband or a daddy husband. I don't know, Diva, your business is your business. And with part of fortune here on Jupiter, on the MC, and the MC being work. mind you, the MC being work. So he already had an indicator of fame right there, but Connor puts double fame. Jupiter, Big Daddy Jupiter on this already Jupiterian placement. So expansion of fame, multiple fame, bigger fame, harsher fame, which I also think overcame the boundaries of these placements, which are conjunct. So the boundaries, and I also think that part of it is the many boundaries thing. I think that also had to do with the fact that, and look, with a weird tie and in green, a weird tie to work. I think that had to do partially also with how much the two of them had to like work out, bulk, and learn for this role. Like fluent, practically almost fluent sounding Russian, scary fluent. And
Yeah, I mean that was the craziest part for me to play. Everyone always talks about the Russian, but the jockness of it all. I mean, like these guys in the NHL, they have been skating since they were like 3 years old. So for Hudson and I to show up with like 2 weeks of skating training and being like, and just kind of want
Like, I fully just assumed they had found a Russian-speaking actor for this part. That is not what happened.
no.
Yeah. Did you have any head start on Russian?
So when I was in high school, I spent my junior year in France, and I've always loved languages. Like I think if I wasn't an actor or filmmaker, I would definitely want to somehow commit myself to linguistics. But so I tried learning the Russian alphabet. I got super into like Russian rap and stuff, but Russian is it's so impossibly difficult to learn.
It sounds like Russian was easier for you than the skating. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was easier I mean, the skating is just, it's impossible.
Right.
You know, like, again, like, I could do it every single day for 10 years, and I would never be anywhere close to that. The Russian was a little bit more immediate and was a little bit more a part of the show for me. Yeah, so I mean, I did like 4-hour sessions of Russian every day for like a month and a half.
And not only
Shout out to Katya Yablunovsky.
fluent, practically almost fluent sounding Russian, scary fluent. And I specialize in accents, so his accent scared the shit out of me because it was so real. And he gives this incredible like 4-minute monologue in full Russian. So, and he mentioned in an interview that he spent hours a day training with his Russian teacher, like 4 hours or some 3 to 4 hours for a month. And that's very much what this is. Like, you have money, you have this situation, but also you're building towards something. You've got to build towards something. The boundary is like, it's a little bit at a time. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? It's giving you a little bit, it's giving you the blessings small at a time. It's like if you won the lottery, but the lottery was $1,000 a day. Okay, does that make sense? It's a limit. It is rationing your luck for you, and usually in a way that can be quite good. Now, it can make you feel a lot of times that you're like, I'm not lucky. I'm literally an unlucky person, like kill me. But in this case, it actually was an indicator of them blowing up right around their Saturn return, and I think they will continue to do bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more and more. They will continue to play other roles. Or things regarding that. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, and again, all of these playing out across the 7th house of partnerships and the 8th house of sex, secrets, and other people's money and mental health, giving very much that these two had such a plain relationship where they could speak about anything. I find that this relationship and all these two legitimately, with all due respect, they got along like twins. And I understand how that feels, because when you are locked into a situation like this and you find someone who emotionally, when you're on a contract, speaks your language, fits your vibe, understands you empathetically, and you can have these open conversations with, and they don't think you're weird. They respond to you. I had that recently on a contract I just got off of. I'd made a new friend, and she was significantly older than me, and I was feeling very alone and unsure of myself. And I would go to work early, and so would she. And then we would just end up being in the dressing room together and striking up conversations and having plain, open conversations. And like, before we knew it, we were having these like beautiful, open, intimate conversations. And it was affecting, obviously, how strong the work was on stage in front of other people, the comfortability, because of course it does. Of course it does. Of course it does. So they struck gold in a lot of ways with this relationship, because you found someone who, with all these Capricornian placements too, like Aquarius and Pisces, the way that they made room for each other for the new world, they're a little strange. It's funny, as dry as he appears, pardon me, and you're getting that, it would be Jyotish ascendancy in Cancer, because he really, to me, looks like a traditional Cancer male to me. That combination of those Pisces, Cancer, Aquarius, like, and then Sagittarius and Capricorn energies, the familiarity with each other. It's a bit like meeting someone who is a lot like you, who is a twin flame. This is what I imagine a real twin flame partnership feels like in a lot of ways, especially because it's a work twin flame. And there was one more thing I wanted, and descendancy too. So he has these, and so in addition, these Venusian placements, Neptune on this descendancy placement, means that he would feel like a husband to him. Hudson would have recognized Connor and the importance of Connor's presence in his life almost immediately. Because look at that, Sun conjunction Uranus, shook baby, shook diva. This is a black hole of energy, this whole section. Look at how intense this energy, this energetic field is through this area, playing out across all these, look at the way I scribble, aren't I crazy? Playing out across these Libran, air charts, Libran Aquarius, Capricorn placements, and then Pisces. So this work, arts, love theme, and then the pushing nonconformity because gay and sports stars. And even the way the story was told is like flashback and strange, is like cut up all over the place. So these two would be the perfect fit for a job like that. Now, with Ketu there, that makes me believe that eventually, because this is all playing out in a way that it's giving like past life love. Like you two have known each other from past life, for sure, Diva. But with Ketu here, it's giving that Connor will break away. I mean, obviously, this is very much giving with Ketu there in the sixth house of work. Ketu Venus, I explained in my Christy Sarah video with Desmond, is past life love. Okay, that's love and nonconformity and higher realms. I also imagine Connor is quite spiritual, secretly incredibly spiritual. Probably might even be an astrologer. Hi Diva, if you're here, hi Diva. With Ketu there, I imagine that's the south node, as we know, the bottom of the dragon, the back of the dragon, the pole of the dragon, the other head of the dragon, depending on how I talk about it or look about it. With Ketu there, this is still playing out to some extent, that their partnership is their youth. This is still in their charts, portraying them as if this is like a relationship from their youth. This is still youthful energy. Like maybe they met each other. I mean, they're only like 24 and 25, which is so crazy. But it's giving like met at 21 because it's such a young energy here. The work wife, work husband. And eventually Connor will break away. And into the 12th house. His 12th house is interesting. I hope that's good. I don't want that to be like a bad sign. Usually someone's North Node in 12th house can either be like a very spiritual, wonderful love. Rahu goes clockwise, actually. So it would be here at the 28th degree. So again, we're getting that Cancer element. It might even be, yeah, 2nd degree, which is that fame degree. So continuously getting more and more famous. Both of them breaking away and also on ascendant helps build him. Definitely the point was to help build Hudson before he left. I don't have the ascendancy for Connor, so I couldn't say. But with this North Node in the 12th house, that's hidden in confined spaces. Oh, I guess that could also be in this case, could play out to be cameras, could be behind the scenes, like being filmed. That makes sense. But also in the future could relate to an estrangement, could end up being like he moves away from him, like goes elsewhere. So not sure what that means. We're going to have to see how that plays out. But for right now, it makes sense that it ended up being like a fame placement close to the ascendancy and helping him develop. But we'd have to get more into that later. Yeah, and Moon in the 3rd house of friends and close associates and relatives for him in Libra. So this super egalitarian, equal, pretty boy energy, pretty boy. And ironically, I see Moon Scorpio, which is usually a sign to me of a mother wound or that your mother was too intense. Something there with the mother situation or the family. And then Mars there. So very intense mommy. Aries mother, double Mars mom. So he has also then Mars, Pluto in his own chart. Again, I don't want to know how these play out in the future about like what that means for him, like what he ends up doing or what happens to his children or his house, his family. I don't want to get into all that because I feel like that is too invasive, if I'm being honest. So that's a Leo degree for Venus. I also think Connor is going to get with someone very well known. Ooh, anaretic degree Scorpio Mars. I didn't even realize that. That's 29th degree, baby. That's Leo. So definitely performative, definitely present, definitely out and about in the higher realms and to be seen, because that's very known Mars, which is kind of like, ooh, that much energy can make you very, very, very intense. And in Scorpio, vengeful, intense, secretive, good at keeping secrets. And also Moon Scorpio, I have now spoken to about 10 different people with that placement, and that is intrusive thoughts. I don't make that up. You all have it. Don't get mad at me. I can hear the Scorpio moons booing and getting upset because you're like, how do you know that? I know these things. I have so many Scorpio moons in my life, or did before you guys all go crazy all at the same time. And so all of you have these intrusive thoughts issues. So that with the mother and Mars also leads me to believe that that's also partially, and I have to imagine it's tied to his Mercury because he just be saying shit. He just be saying some shit.
This is what this is doing to people.
Yep. There it is. There it is. There it is. It's all conjunction. This all is square the moon. Right there. To those placements. Because he says whatever. He says anything. I've been watching some interviews with him and I'm like, bro, what? Huh?
Reclining your seat on an airplane. Yeah, I don't give a I'm reclining my seat and your knees can eat it.
What part of your character do you relate to? The pain?
Huh? like his real self, and no wonder it's retrograde because I feel like he doesn't look like that at all. It's so funny because this ascendancy is all the way over here. He looks completely different than how he is, and you have to remember that about this person.
It's running rampant with these apps and the amount of feeding into it I can do. I need to fix this. I'm a vain person. I have no depth. I have no real world value besides my aesthetic beauty.
This gives very much like John Mulaney vibes to me, like this very kind of like square, very normal, relaxed look, appearance, Cancerian appearance about him. That is why how he played that character so fantastically, because that character was so deadpan, dead face. This character accused him of being boring every 30 seconds, and then you watch a video with him, and he is so incredibly the opposite of the way he looks that this Mercury retrograde makes perfect sense to me. Because he just be saying shit just like, and there's videos that have started to pop up around the internet that have made me laugh, videos that are like, please never give this man media training.
And I think I need more media training, and they're trying to wrangle me in. I was leashed just off camera, and my caller's waiting for me.
And especially with Uranus there, because higher mind of Uranus, Chronos, and lower mind of Mercury, it's too much information. I've said this before, and you have to remember the sun is a light malefic, so everything that comes close to the sun starts to come into combustion, which means that the effectiveness of these planets also starts to get fuggity. This also means, however, that his future partner will be very strange, very Uranian, be a big presence. They both will end up marrying someone well-known. I'm talkative. I can't explain these things, but it's just going to happen that way because of the way that their charts are set up. In fact, and also, Connor could end up marrying someone from very, very far away, someone totally different to him. I don't know. He was born in what, Odessa, Texas or something, right? He could end up marrying like a total foreigner, different age, different ethnicity, different background from a different place. That's usually what Ketu Venus ends up playing out as. And all of these in the descendancy mean that his partner will be very serious, Capricornian, and also strange with that. Also because partnership house is owned by Aquarius, which is Saturn, and which is Uranus Saturn, and guess where Uranus Saturn is? Right there. So spouse is going to be very protective of him because spouse's guard is at the door. Spouse is in spouse's house. Spouse is at the gate for spouse. Does that make sense? Because Uranus is there. So he might even feel slightly overshadowed in partnership, like there might be identification with partnership in his life. So despite these scorpionic obsessive qualities, he is very collaborative, very and online, chronic online placements diva, painfully chronically online placements diva. But this Sun Mercury, there was like hookup. I'm sorry. And we have Pluto here at the bottom, which makes perfect sense because their job was to appear like they were hooking up. Look, blue to the north node. Look at that. All in a perfect trine placements. Mercury to be seen filming, and then the sun, the presence of him. So all of these things ended up helping Hudson get to his future. Now let's see personal for Connor. Square his personal north node, so his future square the job of Hudson. So I wonder why that is. I wonder how that ends up that way. Maybe because he ended up having an audition for him. Like the reading was led by Hudson, and Connor ended up having to be chosen. It was dependent on him. Maybe that could be what that is. But it's also square personal fortune. So it's an explosion of the future. I think that's going to play out in the future about what we find out about Connor. I don't know that we're there yet, but partially it involves with these squares. It involves part of the story is getting famous so that other things can occur. That seems to be what's going to happen. Like the answer is famous now, and then the point later. The point is not getting famous like it is for Hudson, because that's 11th house. The point is, I don't have rising, so I couldn't exactly say, but in here it really appears like the point is not necessarily that. The point is something different because we have Leo here. So the point is developing the sun itself, and the job is a means to an end. The fame is a means to an end. Does that make sense? I think it does. Now, I've made this look disgusting. You hate me. So just because have a fresh one. I know I'm awesome. And in this one, I now put Connor in the middle so you can get a bit of a flip. You feel like you get something different. Do my eyebrows. So again, I was saying before, the expansion of these boundaries and latent joy. I think the two of these, when they reach their Saturn return, by the time they reach their Saturn return, they are going to have so many blessings that they are able to really share with other people, like so many more roles, so many more opportunities, more accents, more things. That could also be what Ketu Venus is here with Neptune, is like, that's accents, performances from other places, Ketu, other places. And then Neptune Lilith helps him do that breakaway energy, makes him look more like he would be a breakaway star and sexy. I'm going to include videos of him being a sexy Russian. Vertex to moon. So this make or break point was literally with vertex, Ketu vertex was drawn to this moon in Libra. So he was going to make or break from this Connor's placement. Like meeting him would be the make or break for this getting famousness. So meeting him, he said, oh God, this is going to be tough, but I'm going to get this done. I feel good about that. Now, I would like to include here at this point some videos about their placements in the nakshastra. So now we are looking at the D1. These are considered the D1 placements. We have Hudson encounter. And hopefully at this point, now I will edit in some videos potentially from Claire Nakti about this Danishta.
How can we be rich, famous, and gorgeous? This is the life lesson we'll learn from the 21st star of Vedic astrology, Dhanishta, the desirable object.
Is there a zodiac sign that produces an abnormally high amount of bombshell beauties? Yes, this is the Capricorn Aquarius cusp nakshatra in sidereal Vedic astrology, Dhanishta. Dhanishta's long, moody, downturned lips with a noticeably longer upper lip is a key feature to look for. The face appears slightly loose or relaxed to the sides of the mouth corners, giving a naturally pouty and sensual expression. Dhanishta noses tend to be small, upturned, and sloping. They most often have a triangular face shape, meaning the most width at the jawline, and with a squared chin.
And Shada Bishop, Sun Moon placements.
Is there a zodiac sign that gives you an Aries, Svelte, Audrey Hepburn charm? Yes, this is the Shatabisha Nakshatra portion of Aquarius in Vedic astrology. It's the only nakshatra ruled by two air planets, Saturn and Rahu, the mesmerizing north node. For me, a key feature for guessing this nakshatra is the unique placement and proportions of the nose and eyes. While all Rahu-ruled nakshatras increase eye size, Shatabishas are more rounded in shape and upturned, giving the touch of an impish or elfin look. The Shatabisha nose is distinct. It projects from lower on the face than average, often with an emphasized low septum in comparison to the general slight upturn of the squared nose tip. The frequently de-emphasized upper lip and the smaller square jaw also grants more attention to the striking mid-face area. The beauty of these women is often described with airy word choices that imply she might blow away, as the height of the bodiless floating head Rahu channel. Is this the zodiac sign people are unconsciously referring to when they say someone's cat pretty? This is the late half of Cancer in Vedic astrology, Ashlesha Nakshatra. Ashlesha's yoni animal is a cat, and this nakshatra can be spotted through the distinctly feline, seductive beauty it possesses. Their eyes are sharp and uplifted and medium to small in size. The sharpness of the eye area is then emphasized through their frequent possession of thin, lifted, and arched brows. Their high, medium to large cheekbones support the tightly lifted eye area well. The Ashlesha nose tip, like the eyes, has a pointy quality, and their lips are generally thin to medium in fullness. Overall, the Ashlesha face is small and delicate and tends to be oval in shape to a slight oblong. Ashleshas seem to love to embrace or naturally possess striking dark, shiny, and straight hair. You can see much more on how to physically spot Ashlesha women on my blog at clairenakti.com.
Svati Moon and Hasta Moon, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about their double Jesta Chiron. Connor, by the way, you need to be aware of crazy psycho fans. This is my warning to you now. So Jesta literally rules over fan behavior and people that want to either be you or have you so bad that they become obsessive stalkers. Think about the Cassie Maddie dynamic from Euphoria. Think about All About Eve. Think about Saltburn, the talented Mr. Ripley. That's another good example. Jesta rules over all those placements. And with Pluto here, it's like transformation. You know who has that placement natally? These placements belong to people like Donald Trump, Taylor Swift, Andrew Tate, people that have very, very aggressive, all or nothing divisive fan bases. So with Pluto here, it's like upheaval in these things, suddenly becoming so famous beyond, suddenly losing all boundaries because other people want to be, they need you. It's obsessive. It's that fan behavior that you see sometimes for people like K-pop idols. They all have these kinds of placements, these Jesta placements. And in the fifth house of work and joy and pleasure and in short-term engagements, and I know the sixth house is work, but in this case, fifth house is short-term engagements. And fifth house is really important on people like actors and creatives because you live in your fifth house as an actor creative a lot of times because all we do is short-term engagements. So Pluto there is an explosion through a short-term engagement, blowing up through a short-term engagement. But with Chiron there and in Mula, it can create, and then he has Chiron and Jesta. I would say be very careful about, it's like doxing, people finding your information, getting too obsessed with you, getting too in your business, getting things like that. Those are always things that I would be careful of, making sure that you keep your private life really private. Okay, now finally looking into the asteroids, just some last things, guys. I wanted to look at things that were on their placements. He has a lot of really intense placements on his ascendancy, true Lilith on the ascendancy at the evil degree. And when I say evil degree or things whatnot, I mean, of course, degree theory by Dr. Nikolai Stojanovic. Did I get it right this time? Did I actually manage to get it right this time? That's the evil degree he's noticed. Phaedra, which I mentioned before, that's Greek. That's the woman who ended up falling in love with her stepson. She was cursed potentially by Venus in some versions of the story. It's a weird Greek tragedy, but in this case, I'm hoping that means that he just did Greek in college, especially with it on the ascendancy and at the Libra degree. So kind of feels like maybe fertility, love, and sexuality at the Leo degree on the moon. And he doesn't he look I don't want to say what I'm going to say because that's so rude, but like the fertility, love, and sexuality being present here at a Leo degree of performance in Scorpio, which is about sex and sexuality.
There you go.
I love watching heated rivalry because it's the closest I'll ever get to watching an alpha and omega go at it.
What's omega?
It's a little bottom boy.
No, that's a beta.
So this thing called the Omegaverse.
Yep.
The alpha's the top, the omega's the bottom. It's one of dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
They be going at it, they're going into heat.
Damn, alrighty.
That's funny because
And other people being privy to that, like that feels like that was a hint maybe about the work that he was going to be doing also, because I think we're going to be seeing more of him in these kinds of positions. Absolutely no pun intended. Absolutely no pun intended. Boda, so he looks like someone that's constantly in partnerships or someone in partnership energy on the ascendancy. Usually that can also mean engagement. So he might have a very public engagement in the future. 0th degree talent, fabulous talent on the part of fortune, so it's expanding the energy near it. You know, where it's like Jupiter expands what's near it on the MC, so expanding his work, beauty, love, and harmony on Freya, in all of these. And by the way, mind you, and that's the famed degree, all in Taurus, which is beauty, pleasure, sexuality, seduction, also the senses. So he's being seen as this beautiful, like they're being seen as sex icons right now. Okay. South Node, friggin' motherhood, nurturing, and family. Also on top of it with Nessus makes me think that and with that Scorpio moon makes me think he had a challenged relationship with his mother. I'm not going to say more than that, but I know that right now he's working and doing his best. Because South Node Nessus is like, oof, you came from a place of abuse and manipulation in your youth, and you are breaking away from that. Yeah, and again with this independence, nonconformity, pursuit of individuality, he realized at a young age this would be very intelligent person, peacemaking, conciliation. He has all of these Libran themes riddled in his chart. Iris, messaging, signal, synchronicities, and rainbow bridges between people and realms. And ironically, also, I believe Connor had that in an important placement. So I think that that's very ironic that they're being seen as the rainbow bridge. I'm rolling with that LGBT. Karma by Moon, the consequences of past actions and the lessons of cause and effect. He is someone who I believe he would say to himself, yo, I have not bad luck, but like I can't do anything bad to other people because it comes around and smacks me like twice as hard situation. Because he has Michelangelo also there, which makes me thunder. Diva, I want to talk. Were you religious? Were you Catholic from me and you broke away? I want to talk. Orcus, power, control, and transformation. Parvati, devotion, sacred partnership, inner strength, curiosity, exploration, and adventure. Creativity, inspiration, and spiritual connection. Kesar, also Raphael. Also, I want you to peep all these Pisces placements. All these Pisces placements, which would be activated by the other actor, which I think is fabulous in this case. Oh, and so if you recall, his Neptune is here and the other actors' placements are right there as well. If you recall, the Ketu, Neptune, Venus, I know I did a bad job drawing them. But so these placements would be on the other actors' placements. Siva in the Libran degree, destruction, renewal, transformation, spiritual crisis. So all of these will be themes we'll see across his work in the future. These are themes he will be working through. But these were shown, I think, in the last piece. Luck, fortune, and success. So further activated by Connor. And also past life, luck, good fortune, and abundance. And in this life, radiance, light, and wisdom. Oh, again, a Pisces placement, healing, birth, and regeneration. So really, I'm telling you, Connor is helping him. I'm telling you, they have a very good relation. I'm telling you, they have a very good relationship. And then also on these placements, healing, medicine, and well-being, health, and cleanliness. All of these amazing placements. And then I thought this was kind of crazy. He has a happiness wound, potentially famous happiness wound. So he might, and again, I told you about that Scorpio moon being intrusive thoughts. I could see there being a world where this actor, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to get this close to you, and this is as close as I'm going to get, a world where this actor, deep underneath it all, had a very, very difficult relationship developing the self and about self-worth and like self-darkness, because Pluto moon is very, very difficult. I myself have Pluto opposite moon, and you are forced to grow in ways you could have never anticipated because it is your spiritual self, your emotional self that must go through the most upheaval in this life.
I need to fix this. I'm a vain person. I have no depth. I have no real world value.
You relate to
besides my aesthetic beauty.
And so I often find that Scorpio moon placement leads to a wound in these kinds of placements, happiness, joy, and contentment. So that's something that he would be often working through, and in Saturn, which is very much representative of him, of who he is. So oftentimes I wonder if all of that weird loudness, that self that he portrays in the interviews is very different, very, very different from how he is in his deepest, darkest, most internal part of his self, especially with Moon in the 4th house here, and anger there too. So in the deepest, most concealed part of the self, he keeps it away. Locked very much away. So I also believe that's part of the reason why him and Connor would have got along so well, is because he brought out all of these healing, wonderful energies. And in the 8th house, by the way, mind you, of mental health. So all of these easing placements drawn by Connor in the realm of mental health. And for a first, and I have to tell you, if I blew up like this overnight as an actor, that would scare the absolute shit out of me. It would really, really, really activate my personal anxieties. So it really just goes to show you how these two have been a rock for each other through the blow up of this project. Yeah. Oh my God, look at that. Latent power surge from emotional. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. In the Libran house, I think he came from a place where the Libran effect of the IC in Libra. Ooh, yeah, right. Thank you, Spirit, for that. The Libran effect of the IC. So parents and family from this Libran household of equality does not mention. I always think a Moon Scorpio always gives to me kind of Abby Lee Miller. What's a good word for it? Mommy, show mommy, obsessive mommy, intense mommy, dance mom. Narcissus on. He wants to make sure that they don't get more narcissistic. Both of them have this placement. Ironically, I want to make sure both of them through their life don't. Yeah, pride, arrogance. I don't want them. This is what I'm saying into it. We're getting into things in the future that I'm like, there's nothing I can say about these. I want to make sure that just because, and my last thing I'm gonna say about him before I move on, because I don't want to do too much. I don't. Is sometimes when I'm drawn to that monologue from I Love LA, where one of the characters who's gay and a stylist in the show turns to the actress who's playing Mimi, the famous pop star, and turns and says,
"Just one more thing before I go. You remember the CFDAs when Margella didn't want to dress you because dress didn't really look that good on you? And I called Delara, who also wasn't a big fan, but you did me a solid because she likes me. You were boho. I made you cunt.
And I made you cunt." And I really think that's a cue here of like, just because the gays made you. There's another famous show.
My mom's running around every grocery store in Seattle hiding magazines so my 96-year-old grandmother doesn't see my dick.
Drunks, nobody's prudes.
I just don't see where this is going. It'd be one thing if I was getting auditions, but nothing's happening.
I'm sorry to bother you, but are you the absolute hunk?
Yes, he is.
Well, I just wanted to say that my friends and I are huge, huge fans. Hi.
It's working. What did I tell you?
How does those guys toasting me mean my acting career is happening?
First come the gays, then the girls, then the industry.
Once the girls love you, then everyone loves you. Then you're famous as fuck. So they're in the point where the gays love them. Now the girls are loving them. So want to make sure that both actors don't end up in a place where they're like so big that their heads just blow out of proportion because they blew up so much in such a short amount of time. Again, Saturn, Jupiter, because then by the time that you hit the Saturn return, you're going to have your shit rocked, which you don't want that to happen. A public disgrace is the last thing that you want. So you need to make sure that you stay humble and stay righteous. That's really what these placements are pointing at. Okay.
Oh, so you think you're a hot man? You're conceited now?
Oh, that's why you said that.
Yeah, caught ya. He thinks he's hot.
All of these tweets y'all are doing are getting in my head. I'm going to start ordering, crazy stuff.
I'm going to start walking around with a printout of my headshot.
Do you love how those are our ideas of luxury? Because like getting too big for our britches is, I'm going to start ordering crazy stuff for lunch. You're going to have your headshots.
Okay, and now finally, last bit, so look at Connor's personal. He has an insane amount, and I want you to ignore ascendancy because we don't have birth times. So he has Casanova on Lilith. He's going to go through quite a few, if he has not already, love stories with different people, whether that has to do with work love stories or if this is his personal life. He is very childlike and innocent and honestly is exploring a lot of different themes of love, is a Cupid in his own right, is an attractive Venusian type energy in his own right. Yeah, anoretic degree Daphne, Leo degree Daphne on Sun. So he identifies with this. And Daphne, remind you, is the huntress. That's the one that goes out into the woods by herself. She leads the teams. She's also, I believe, Daphne committed herself to celibacy, but she was like the leader of a group that followed her into the night of same sex. So usually all women. So something interesting there to be about the energy that he portrays. Erato at the Leo degree of Leo on the North Node. So sexy. The part of this point was for him to be sexy. Creativity, inspiration, and beauty. Yeah, developing more of that. He will just get better looking. Beauty, love, and harmony. Talent, skill, and mastery. Enterprise, fame at the famous degree, the second degree of fame, industria at the 29th degree, diligence, hard work, and industry. And guess what? That 29th degree is exactly where Hudson's Mars was. So industria on Mars. So he gained money from pretending to fuck. Gained money from pretending to. That's insane. Hudson. Pretending. I shouldn't say pretending. I wouldn't know. Gold on Pluto. Yep. Wealth and abundance. Again, we're seeing that. We're seeing it. Power, wealth, and influence. He's going to marry someone very wealthy and rich. Transformation, wealth, and abundance on make all on these placements in Hudson's 10th house as well. So money, all these money making placements. There it is again. And then another one on his mood. All these reward, abundance, and generosity, bounty on the Saturn return. So he's going to get even more on the Saturn return. And Felicitas in the at the Libran degree of Scorpio too. So happiness, joy, and contentment. Again, helping heal that same energy that would have been a wound, ironically, in Hudson. He has it as well, and in the Libran degree. So in partnerships, might have another famous partnership. There it is again, Libran degree. No possibilities, chances, and openings. Money, opportunity. Rockefeller, more money, power, wealth, and influence. And then I can't make these up. Just goes to show you creativity, inspiration, harmony, beauty, magic, intuition, the shadow self. And he had a wound around Apollo, creativity, inspiration, and self-expression. So the getting around too. He's going to feel better about it in the future. And Pallas North Node, he has all of these feminine qualities, feminine energy North Node. Anoretic degree, Leo degree, Pallas Athena, Leo degree, wisdom, strategy, and creative intelligence. So he's going to become more of a creative, more of a strategist, more of a mother. It's giving mother, like as if this show is going to spawn a whole new slew of huge shows in this category. So he will be seen as the progenitor for a lot of it, because to be honest with you, although Hudson was relevant and important in the show, the person that really drives the show and where the audience can place themselves on Hudson is because everyone feels as though the person that's courting them is this actor, Connor, playing Ilya, the Lilithian, the drug doer, break off, bad mouthing, sports star who's number one. It makes perfect sense. And this Juno South Node, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure. Marriage, commitment, partnerships, past life female, past life wife who helped another big figure, because Juno was Zeus's wife, obviously, and constantly they were cheating on each other and things were going on. So she was like the rock to his placement. So with a Juno South Node in own chart, that makes me believe that you understand automatically, empathetically, how to be the trophy wife. That came from a past life. You were the trophy wife already. And in this life, you need to break away from that, because that's where his Venus would be also, is on all these placements. So you need to break away from that and instead go further into exploration, further into developing the self, because his North Node was in Leo, if you recall correctly. So we're getting that, So we're getting that, figuring out in this life how to be the star for himself, and ironically develop creative strategy and intuition. So nurturing feminine qualities as a man, as a performer, and as a creative in the artist industry. And with that mothership placement, it makes me think that he is going to be quite a rock, and maybe a source of healing for a lot of other actors, like someone you can empathetically trust, someone who is a good person, fun, collaborative, good at their job. So because he has all of these things, like they're not Nepo babies, neither of them are Nepo babies. They were picked off the planet for these jobs. So they are quite literally professional actors, and so young to be so worldly wise. So he will just continue to develop those aspects. Yeah, Lilith, Mars. It's fucking, you gonna be fucking, girl. Fucking you gonna be doing. Definitely. Absolutely, you're gonna be fucking. Look at all these Lilith placements, of this. He's going to continue to be this sexy character, seen as this sex symbol icon in the future. Alcesti, sacrifice, renunciation, selflessness. He was so selfless in a past life, and as a woman, mother, nurturing energy, that in this life he's being rewarded by God to be shown in these higher, greater realms. It also needs to develop. Ironically, it's develop selfishness further, developing further selfishness for yourself. Spirituality, spiritual crisis. I really, again, think innovation, breaking free from limitation. I think we're going to be seeing more of the spirituality aspects to him in the future. Ooh, Parthenope, seductive siren voice, artistic calling, and the dangers of enchantment on Pluto and Chiron. So that ironically, he became known for the Russian accent. So the seductive voice being the thing that he became famous for, this fake accent that he created and crafted and had to work his ass off of, despite being a French speaker. I think it's hilarious that it's showing up here. Strategic intelligence, craftiness, wanting wisdom. Oh, and North Node Iris, messages, symbol, rainbow bridge. So developing more of this, and then in Libra again, so partnerships. So developing that through partnerships. So, and that was on, again, Hudson's phallus. So the phallus development, leading them both to where they need to be in the future, is so clear here. An anoretic degree peacemaker. An evil degree rambling. He might also be a rambler. And Toro, 22nd degree killer, we kill Toro. Strength, courage, and determination. So a little bit of a bull in a china shop quality to him, maybe, that in the future that he would need to potentially work on. Like sometimes he could have a little bit of verbal diarrhea, maybe. 0th degree Michelangelo, North Node creativity. So, and he has South Node Raphael, North Node Michael, the Archangel Michael, South Node Raphael. So again, previously, in a previous life, was helped with transformation, healing, and rebirth. That's an energy he's familiar with, which makes sense. Again, on all of these placements, activating Hudson's placements, why at the Leoth degree would make sense why he was such a easing, wonderful co-star and scene partner, and made Hudson feel so comfortable. There, and the likeness there was found. Healing and rebirth is really clear. They helped each other in this way. And but leading more towards in the future needing to develop this. The Archangel Michael was he's the avenging angel, the one that's out front, the potential leader of the angels, the one that dove down when the spirit gates of heaven closed. He's the one that opened them, went down, stole, and took all of the souls that during Jesus's, because the spiritual psychosis says, the spiritual text, discussing how when Jesus was on earth, supposedly the gates of heaven were closed, so all the souls, no one could get into heaven. They all just like boing, bounced off the gates of heaven, because that's how that works, and went to hell. So the idea is once Jesus died, the gates opened and Archangel Michael went down into the gates of hell and took the people out and saved them. So with this, oh, and look, 0 with protection, Horus, power, protection, and leadership. Mother, oh, and 0 with degree, Kali, Kali Ma, the mother, intuition and psychic abilities. This person, he has way more psychic ability than we know. There's a little bit of a sex, death, powerful transformation energy with him, that a bit of a spiritual boon he is. And I know how that feels to be a spiritual boon when you're also an actor, because it's like God wants you to play many roles in your life. It's like being sped run through your karma, because you have to do all these different things in such a quick amount of time, so it can end up making you feel a billion years old, even though you're a child. Oh, and South Node Icarus, risk, recklessness, and the potential for downfall on Venus, though. So he has to be careful, I would say, for the future. And evil Eris, discord, chaos, and rebellion, and destruction, recklessness. I would say the two of them should make sure that they stay away from excessive drinking or partying, and also from narcissism, especially around partnerships, famous narcissism, self-love, self-image developing, or nemesis at the Leo degree. That can also be quite public, and pride. So I think the two of them, again, and Pandora. Yep, recklessness, ambition, the potential for downfall, insecurities, deepest fears, and blocks on this. They need to both keep their noses clean. Otherwise, their Saturn returns will be very, very intense in a way that they won't be ready for and appreciate. All right. And that's what I have to say about these two. That's why it worked out. That's why I think it was so incredibly explosive, volatile energy, fabulousness. Meant to be that they develop each other in this life. Ironically, through these Pluto, and then conjunction and all these placements in the 6th house of work and partnership. Okay. Hopefully that was informative. I've been the Village Idiot, and if you like, please feel free to leave a like or suggestion about who you'd like me to read next, or subscribe and stick around, follow me in the streets while I'm screaming. Hope to see you again real soon. Bye.